Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, it is 9:36 p.m. and I just dropped Tanya off after our meeting tonight, our home group meeting. And I am thinking, first of all, I'll turn down this heat because I have my coat on. It is so hot and I have the heat up to 74. But I'm thinking that this is probably not going to be a really long vlog tonight. I have like literally been going all day today. And I'm going to go home and hang out with Alex a little bit before he goes to bed. And he's just watching TV shows right now, so I told him I was going to vlog for a little bit. And then I want to hang out with him for a little bit before he goes to bed. And then I want to finish my audiobook. I wanted to finish Murder at the Mistletoe Manor last night, but I didn't finish it. And I thought I would, but I just got real tired. So I want to finish that tonight. I don't really have a whole lot longer. I mean, the whole book was like 3.5 hours long, so I think I have like 45 minutes or half an hour or something left of it. It's actually really cute. I really liked it. And if you're looking for a holiday book, I would highly recommend it. It's just a really easy read. It's real short. You can get it on Audible. You can get it on Kindle, I'm sure, and everywhere. So Murder at the Mistletoe Manor is what it's called. So anyway, I got up today and what did I do today? The dogs were sick this morning. I don't know what it was. I think it might be the advent calendar treats that I gave them, because they were having diarrhea, and it was just, the only one that wasn't actually was Pee-Pee. Boo and Tucker were having diarrhea, and which would make sense because I haven't been giving those to Pee-Pee, so I'm gonna have to stop giving those treats to the dogs. You know, we are such sticklers for not giving table food, not giving anything different, that whenever we do anything that's different than the regular treats that we give them or different than their normal food, like their stomachs are so sensitive to it because they're just not used to it, you know? So we're gonna have to, do you see these lights over here, how pretty they are? So, every Christmas, so anyway, I'm kind of giggly tonight, I don't know why. And so when we had left the meeting, Tanya and I were talking, every time we would pass some light, she'd say, aren't those lights so pretty? And I would say, they're so pretty, Tanya. And it took her like 3 or 4 times before she caught on that I was like making fun of her. And she goes, are you making fun of me? Are you laughing at me? And I go, yes, because it's so funny. You're like, oh, those lights are so pretty. But they are pretty anyway. So yeah, so that was this morning, like taking them out 15,000 times and all that kind of stuff. And then what did I do before? What else did I do? And then I I did a bunch of stuff around the house, and then I ran around and I got my coffee, which I literally just finished. And yeah, there's just ice in there left. I went and I got my coffee, and then I did a review at Starbucks while I was there. And then I ran and did some other errands. And I got some packages from the post office. I got like 3 things. I got a letter and 2 boxes, so I'll show that in an upcoming video. And then I came home and I filmed a drama video, which I wasn't gonna do. I wasn't gonna film any videos today. I keep on like wanting to take a day off and like not film any videos. But then I'm like, well, I want to talk about this, or I want to talk about that, or I want to do this, and because I love making videos, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I did it, and then as soon as I got done, Alex came home, and he fed the dogs while I was uploading my video, and then I started getting ready to go to my meeting, and then Tanya wanted to get there a little early tonight, so I picked her up, and then we went to the meeting, and that was it. And we had a great time at the meeting tonight. It was a really good meeting, saw a lot of old friends. It's surreal, you guys. This is my week countdown to my sobriety birthday. Next Tuesday is my sobriety birthday. It feels weird. I don't really know why it feels weird though. But I talked to my sponsor for a long time on the phone today, and you know, she was like, that's a big deal. 25 years is a big deal. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I said, but like usually, like, I mean, every year is a big deal, right? But like, but we don't over-congratulate ourselves either, you know? Because it's just a design for living. But for some reason this year, I don't know why, it's 25 years, it's like hitting me, like really. Like I was sharing in the meeting, Tanya and I were sitting in the same group, and I was sharing in the meeting about like our friendship, and like that it just kind of started randomly, and that we've been friends, you know. We were trying to figure it out on the way home, exactly like when we became friends, the date and stuff like that. Because we always kind of compare it to how old her son is, because we know how old he was, and like, you know, when she, you know, all this kind of stuff. So anyway, and where she was living at the time. So, but it's been, I think, 23 years. And, yeah, it's between 22 and 23, but I think we figured out it was 23 years. Anyway, it just seems so crazy, you know, and what a life I've had in the last 25 years. And, you know, it's, you know, one thing to overall say everything that I have is a result of my sobriety. But then when I go in and I specifically look at specific friendships that I have that would not be in my life. I mean, my greatest friendship, you know, I wouldn't have Tanya if it wasn't for being sober. And, you know, we were talking about that tonight, that sometimes we take our friendship for granted, you know, like I said, I don't feel like we ever really, like, unless I'm in a video talking about it or in a meeting, like I don't really talk about how much, you know, our friendship means to me, you know. And she said, yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I don't think you and I ever talk about it or acknowledge it. And I said, but whenever I talk about it in a video, I always get a lot of people that will say, not as much anymore, but like in the past when I, you know, would talk about it because it was a newer topic to people, you know, people would say, you know, I don't have that many people in my life, or I've never had a friendship like you and Tanya have, and whatever. And I said, I think we really take it for granted sometimes, you know. And she was like, yeah, I think until we're sitting in a meeting and we're talking about it and we're looking at each other in each other's eyes, like we don't really recognize like how powerful that is, that friendship that we've had all that time, you know. And so yeah, I don't want to take it for granted, you know. I don't want to take any of my relationships in my life for granted. But I look at, I mean, and I was talking to Melissa today too about some stuff, and it's just like, even that, you know, being able to have the relationship that I have with Alex and, you know, all that kind of stuff, and just everything that I have, having been able to be there for my mom, you know, when she was, being able to just be present, you know, when my mom passed away, like that's such a huge thing for me. And I know that that sounds probably silly to some people, but I really do see that as a privilege that I was able to be there when my mom passed. I mean, that was an honor and a privilege. And I just don't know that the way that I was as an alcoholic and an addict, A, I would have made it all about me. B, I wouldn't have been able to be part of that process because I would have just been such a mess that I don't even know that I would have been, you know, like allowed into the hospital, or I don't know, you know, I mean, I can speculate, but I don't know what that would have been like. And so it's crazy in retrospect looking at that, you know, and being like, you know, really being able to just be part of the process with my aunt and uncle and not making that about me, and being able to be there for Caroline, and you know, all the different opportunities I've had in my life, my relationship with my dad and my stepmom, and you know, there's just been so many things. I just, you know, when I look back on like this, you know, life, if you look at it like a tree and you back up, you know, over all the different branches where stuff is branched out, it literally all branches back to my sobriety. And to think that that one day everything would change, you know, like I didn't know when I woke up December 17th of 1994. I had no clue that that was the day, you know? I had no clue waking up that day, like, well, that, you know. So, I think December 16th was my last day that I used. December 17th was my first day sober. It's just weird. But like good weird, you know? If that makes sense. Caroline's son actually went into the Starbucks that I like drive through to do my reviews. And he met Josh today and introduced himself to him. And he was like, Peter's my uncle, which I'm his second cousin, but I'm like basically like his uncle, so he just calls me his uncle. So he's like, Peter's my uncle, I'm his nephew, and he was like, I really wanted to meet you because David watches all of my review videos. And so it was so funny because Josh texted me and he was like, I think your nephew just came in here. And he was like, he said he watches all of your videos. He was kind of like fangirling a little bit. He was like fangirling / fanboying a little bit. And so then literally like I like put the phone down and like then it buzzed again. I looked at it and it was David and he was texting me. He was like, oh my God, I just went into your Starbucks and I met Josh, the barista, and I feel like I just met a celebrity. I was like, oh, that's so cool. I go, what did you get? And he said, I got a peppermint mocha and a cheese Danish. By the way, Natalie, in case you do not watch my review videos, in my video today, which is the Holly Jolly Latte review, secret menu, I gave Josh the cup that you had given me to give to him, and he was really excited about it. So I have that all on camera if you want to see it. It's on the review video. That was so sweet of you. Yeah, I don't know what else to talk about tonight. I'm kind of like talked out. Like I talked a lot before the meeting, talked with Tanya in the car, talked with Tanya in the car afterwards, talked during the meeting, talked to a lot of my friends after the meeting. We stuck around for like a half an hour. Yeah, about that. And I'm just kind of like, blah tonight. I feel good. We were talking about making amends tonight. You know, it's interesting. It's like, I've really focused so hard in the last year of really taking a look at who I've been in the past, 5 to 10 years, and really cleaning that up to the best of my ability. But not just that, but then also taking a look at those actions and trying to apply that to who do I want to be going forward as being like, a better version of myself. And what does that mean to be a better version of myself? Like, what does that require, And I have to say that so much of it, when I think about it recently, keeps on coming back to the 4 Agreements. That book was really, really powerful for me. Like more so than I ever, I love that word more so, I never use it, but the fact that it's one word, but more so than I ever thought that it really would have, I just used it again, didn't I? But more so than I really thought that it would have an effect on me when I did read it, I didn't honestly think going into it that would have any kind of serious impact on me. And then the fact that, and I didn't know what to expect going in and reading it either, I think that's the other thing. And then reading it and it just having this kind of like overwhelming impact on me. I don't know, it just is kind of this very cool thing. And I'm very thankful for that, though. I needed to read that book. I read so many self-help books, but I have to say, like, that was one that, like, the language was so dumbed down for me, just in how he spoke in the book. It was just such simple terms that it really made a lot of sense to me. And the other thing was that it was just really easy concepts. Like, a couple years ago, my friend recommended the book to me, and I loved the book, called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. I think that's what it's called. But at the end of it, I started getting very confused. Like, some of the concepts were kind of out there, and it just, like, I need things presented to me in a very simple way for me to digest them and then, internalize them and then apply them to my life, and put action to it. Like, it just can't be this ambiguous idea that I don't really understand. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember, like, when I went on kind of my quest for spirituality, I was about 2 years sober, and I wanted to do the second and the third step correctly when I did them. And the second step is, The third step is made a decision to turn our life and our will over the care of God as we understood him. And so for me, I wanted to make sure that I did that, you know, so specifically that I knew what my higher power was. And when I came to that part, I'm trying to think exactly of how my sponsor said it to me. So the second step is came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And the third step is made a decision to turn our life and our will over the care of God as we understood him. And so when he explained it to me, what he said was, you know, that you're talking about the difference of insane thinking versus sane thinking versus insane thinking. It's not just the drugs or the alcohol. It's the way you think about things. It's the way you behave. It's the way that you do things, right? And so you have to trust a higher power to turn all that over to whatever your higher power is. You know, you can come up with that. And I think people tend to believe that, you know, 12-step programs are religious programs, which they are not. And if they were religious programs, I wouldn't be here today, because I was so like this against that stuff when I got sober. Now, that being said, 12-step programs are spiritual programs, and the language of a lot of the textbooks or texts are written in language that does come across as very biblical sometimes. I mean, there's no biblical quotes in it or anything like that. That guy just like literally turned out of nowhere. There's no like biblical quotes or anything like that, but it does reference things that are, it doesn't say Jesus or Buddha or anywhere, you know, in the basic text, but it does come across that way sometimes. And when you hear God over and over and over again, and that's how I was like, I didn't want to hear anything about that when I first got sober. So when we first did it, he was like, you know, can you just, I was more agnostic anyway. Like I wanted to believe in something. I just didn't know what I believed in, you know? And he was like, can you, you know, do you believe that there's something out there that's greater than you? And I said, yes, I do believe that. I just don't know what it is. And so that's kind of how I worked steps 2 and 3 when I first got sober. But then I came back and revisited it at about 1.5 years, 2 years sober, 2 years. And so we went into this kind of year of spiritual journey for myself. And I didn't know where to start. And so I said to him, I don't really know where to start. And he said, well, what's your biggest fear? And I said, my biggest fear is death. And he said, well, find a book that will help you, that you can read, that will help you, you know, deal a lot more with this death or whatever your issues are, and we'll start there. And so I remember going, it was like this Borders bookstore, which is now closed down, but Borders, before it was like this huge place. It was like in this little store in Castleton, which I don't even think that exists as anything anymore, but it was like in this building that before that had been a restaurant called Fuddruckers. It was like a hamburger place. I don't know how I remember that, but anyway, I loved that Borders. You would go in, there'd be like tables, and they would just have all these books just like laid out on these tables, you know? And so I went in there and I was like looking at just like different kinds of spirituality and whatever, you know? And I somehow found Sylvia Browne's, this was before I even knew anything about Sylvia Browne the psychic, The Other Side and Back. And so basically it's Sylvia Browne's book, which, you know, now that she's come out, I mean, I knew that she probably was a fraud anyway, but I still wanted to believe what she had to say. But I found this book called The Other Side and Back, and it was about her talking to her spirit guides and what like the other side is like, the afterlife, heaven, things like that. Because for me, I was so afraid to die because I had no idea of what an afterlife looked like, and I really believed in an afterlife. I wanted to believe in an afterlife. I wanted to know what that looked like, but I had no conception because I had never seen it. You know what I mean? And faith is a hard thing, I think. And so I read that book. I can remember people just laughing and thinking that was so funny, that that's what I was gonna, you know, like, well, I talked about the Celestine prophecy. That was like at the very beginning of my sobriety, but that wasn't when I was like writing about my higher power and stuff like that. Or that wasn't when I was like on the journey about my higher power. That was at the beginning of my sobriety. So I read The Other Side and Back by Sylvia Browne, and so much of what she said in the book really resonated with me. She talked about making a blueprint for your life, and that basically every like major decision or every major part of our lives, like where we live, the parents that we are born to, where we're born, the difficulties that we're born to in our life, like my addiction, so to speak. Things like that. Like, we choose before we come here to learn certain lessons, and it is ours whether or not we choose to learn those lessons or not. And I really liked that concept. And any of these things I'm talking about, just because I say I believe in them doesn't mean that I think that anybody else should. It's just my personal beliefs. But I liked that. And she talked about all these 5 exit points that we have, but we can pick any one to like finally leave this earth. And that deja vu is when you're exactly where you're supposed to be on your blueprint for your life, because you've already basically rewritten this whole like experience. But we have free will, so when we're here and we're born, like, of course our lives are going to go other directions, you know, and then every once in a while we'll just kind of come right back on that map where we were supposed to. And that's what deja vu was. And I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense, you know. But from there, I started reading a lot of other books, and I remember I read like The Tao of Pooh, but I couldn't finish it. And I think that might have been when my mom got me Peace in Every Step by Thich Nhat Hanh. Maybe later, I don't know. I read books about Christianity. I read books about Native American wisdom. I read books about all Hinduism, Buddhism, all different kinds of religions and spiritual beliefs. And so I also wanted to read about some, like, you know, forms of mysticism, and I read about Kabbalism. And I really was intrigued about Kabbalism because you would see all these movie stars at the time, you know, wearing the red bracelets and stuff like that. But when I started reading it, I did not understand it. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. I can't tell you how many books I bought through the years about Kabbalism, and I still don't understand it. Like, I just don't. I think the only religion that I probably didn't, well, that's not true. There's so many world religions out there. The other thing is I took a class when I was in undergraduate school. I think this might have been my last, was it when I was sober? Maybe it wasn't when I was sober, but I took a class on Islam, and I was so confused. Oh my God, I was so confused. When he started talking about the different tribes and stuff, I just did not get it. Things like have to make sense as I'm hearing them for me to kind of like, okay, like I get it, you know what I mean? And when they don't, I'm just kind of like, huh? I think people think sometimes like in my personal life, people be like, but you're so smart. And I'm like, but I'm really not. Like, you know, and I think there's some things that we're all smart at, and then there's other things that other people are smart at. And I'm just like, those kinds of things, I'm not smart at all. But that's what I was saying. Like, that's how that whole conversation started, because I can remember when I was reading about Kabbalism, I just was so confused. I was like, this makes no sense to me whatsoever. Oh, man. Go home and take a shower, do a facial and stuff. I don't know, we'll see. Oh my God, it's almost at the end. How many more seconds do I have? I very rarely do I catch it, because I can hardly kind of see it from here. 23, 36, 37, I don't know when it stops. Let me see. 20, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. Okay. I'm not convinced that it always stops at the same time, but I could be wrong. I just feel like sometimes I look up there and it says a different time. But yeah, that was kind of like part of my spiritual journey. I always, I always think a lot about, like, this time of year always feels very spiritual to me, and not just, like, I would love to say, because, you know, the idea of Christmas is, you know, the birth of Christ and all that kind of stuff. I would love for people to think that I was that, you know, I mean, first of all, I think anybody that watches my channels knows that I don't proclaim to be of any one kind of religion, and I just don't. I believe more like in the tenets that everybody taught, which was compassion, love, kindness, you know, I don't love the word tolerance, but compassion, love, kindness, things like that, you know, forgiveness, understanding. And part of that for me is that I've never done real well, and it's not just with religion, but I've never done really well when there's a set of rules that I have to follow. I've always been, I mean, ever since I was a little kid, my mom would always say this. She'd say, you know, you were always like somebody that would draw outside the lines, you know, like, and literally, like, if it was like a picture, you know, in a, like a, what do you call it, a coloring book, she said you would like take the pictures and like draw around them and like make a different picture with what the picture was. It was like, I've always been that person that hasn't like felt comfortable living by the other rules. And I think when I was younger, like in high school, that came across as being defiant and anti-authority, which is not the case whatsoever, you know. And you know, I'm a believer that I understand why a lot of things exist in the world and why there's a need for a set form of, you know, rules and doctrine to a lot of things. But, and I like to think of myself as, you know, somebody that chooses to follow those today. But I think when it comes to religion, I've never found one religion or one religious aspect of a major religion, you know, like, where I feel like I agree with everything that it says. And for me, my spirituality is so personal that unless I felt like I could just say yes, 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 yes to everything, that I just wouldn't be okay with that. Like that's too important to me. And I know I have had so many God moments in my life, so many things that have happened that just, there's no way that it could be coincidence. I've had so many, like when I say God moment, I mean things I'm just like, okay, like that was a spiritual moment. Like things that it just, I don't even know where to start with talking about all of them, you know, that just things that like happen. I'm just like, what just happened, you know? And sometimes small things and sometimes large things that I do very much believe, for me, in a higher power. I think whatever that is so large that I will never fully understand it. And I don't want to put it in a box and try to understand it. And I'm completely 100% supportive of anybody that wants to go to church or wants to go to temple or finds some faith or enjoyment in that. My mom was somebody that was like such a woman of strong faith, and she went to church, and she was very involved in 2 different churches by the time that she passed. And she had been involved in churches her whole entire life. And she was a woman that was just very interested in religions anyway. She loved, you know, there was a lot about Buddhism that she loved as well. And she, like, one of her favorite books was a book called Living Buddha, Living Christ. Actually, the last time I mentioned it on here, somebody found it and bought it and like sent me a picture that they were reading it. You know, my mom had, she had taught at a Orthodox Hebrew school. It was her first teaching job when she was in Chicago, when my parents moved to Chicago. She was the only Gentile that worked in an Orthodox Hebrew school called Beit Shakov in Chicago. And almost all, I think all of the parents were concentration camp survivors. And, you know, my mom would talk about the faith that they had. And who is texting me? Hold on just a second. And she would say, like, you know, she would talk to me about all that kind of stuff. And hold on just a second. What was I gonna say? Oh, but anyway, you know, she would talk to me about their faith and things like that. And I think my mom was somebody that, I don't know if this will make sense, but like I think faith almost meant more to her than the religiosity itself. I think my mom, you know, she wasn't Catholic, but she loved the purity of Catholicism, she would say. And it wasn't missed on her, all the problems of Catholicism. I mean, she knew of all the, you know, the things that had happened within the Catholic Church and whatever, but, you know, there was a part, like, when just in talking about the belief systems, there was a purity to that she liked. But then, you know, there was a lot of it that she had real issues with, too. The things that they, you know, didn't early on support gay marriage and same-sex relationships and things like that. She really struggled with that. And, you know, there was a patriarchy. She had a real issue with that. And, but my mom understood world religions in a way that my dad does too. My dad reads so much about like the Middle Eastern religions like Islam and things like that. But, and I guess I just don't have a super strong interest in all of that. I think for me, when it finally became really, I love the idea of like when you guys see those bumper stickers that say coexist, with the idea of all these world religions, you know, like coexisting together. I like that idea, you know, and I think that the problem is some of the belief systems behind some of the world religions, you know. I don't know, like, you know, ever since I've kind of like, I think it's interesting that people that are not in recovery see 12-step programs as being religious when they are so not. They are so the opposite, and you can't really, and like if you tell somebody that's not in a 12-step program, they're like, sure, you know, but like you don't get it unless you're really in a 12-step program. But then the thing is that like I know so many people that are not in 12-step programs that really have a lot of hang-ups and issues with religiosity and religions. But it's like when you're sober and you see what works for you and you kind of just like, you know, go with what, and I have a lot of friends of mine that are sober that go to church every single week and are extremely involved in their churches and all that kind of stuff. I have a lot of friends like that. You know, but and they'll talk to me about it, and they'll, you know, like these are sober friends and they're very involved in church, you know, but their church and their sobriety are completely two different things, or their religion and their sobriety are two completely different things that overlap because spirituality is a part of that. But, you know, I think the other thing that happens is, at least that I've witnessed and is my experience, is that you become very open-minded to other people's belief systems as long as they aren't hurting anyone. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's what you believe, and that's great. Like, you know, like, oh my God, that's so cool. Tell me about your church, whatever, you know. But it's like, but also please don't force it on me. Let me believe what I want to believe. You know what I mean? But I'm excited for you, and I'm happy for you that that's what you believe. And then all of a sudden, because before I was kind of like, don't talk to me about church, don't talk to me about God. And when friends, you know, want to talk to me about, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Oh yeah, really? Okay. You know, and all that kind of stuff. And so I think it makes you more open-minded to spirituality and religious beliefs in a way that I think that a lot of people aren't. But you just realize that it is just, it has to come from you, and so then you are able to be supportive of other people and their belief systems, which I think is, you know, makes life wonderful, you know. Or their lack of, you know. And, you know, my husband is a complete atheist, and it's interesting that it's never caused any, my ex was too. Towards the end of our relationship, he was a little bit agnostic, I think, a little bit more agnostic, but, you know, Alex is supportive of my praying, my meditations, you know. He'll say things to me like, you know, well, if we're out to dinner or something and somebody will say something, Peter will, you know, Alex will be like, well, Peter, you know, something, his belief in God or whatever. I mean, like, he never questions it. He never challenges it. He's supportive of it, you know, and I'm never question or challenge his atheism. Like, that's his belief system. And I respect the reason that, why he feels that way. And I understand it. It's not how I choose to look at it. Alex had a cousin that was killed. You know, first of all, Alex was brought up in very, you know, machismo Catholic lifestyle. And then he had a cousin that was killed in a drive-by shooting when they were young in Venezuela. That was like his best friend. And Alex just shut off and was like, you know, if there was a God, why would a God take somebody like that? He was a really good person, you know? And that's where he's been ever since then. And I understand that. And if he ever chooses to come out of that and think something different, that should be on him and on his own. And, you know, and it's not just about that today. I mean, there's been a lot of different things that have happened through the years, you know, that make him believe, or make him have a lack of belief systems, you know, but like this is what applies to me, and I support that of him, you know, and I've seen, you know, like religion and, you know, money really destroy couples. And that was kind of, we had that discussion early on, that was going to be one of the things that we were never going to let destroy us, you know, and that there would be times that one of us was making more money than the other, or, you know, we would have different belief systems, whether they were, you know, religious or whatever, you know, that we would just ask each other questions and have a discussion, but we weren't ever going to let that be, leverage or judgment within the relationship. And so that it's been like that, you know, and it's worked, and I don't know how, but it has, and I'm grateful for that. Every once in a while he'll ask questions, you know. He'll be like, well, how does this work for you? Or how do you believe this? Or whatever, you know. And it's always interesting having conversations about like spirituality, and then you talk about like true crime, like serial killers, or, you know, like mass destruction that happens, or genocide, and it's like, well, where is God in that, you know? And I'm not necessarily sure that I know, and I'm not necessarily sure that I believe that God is in that, you know? I don't know what I think about that sometimes. And like I said, you know, any thing that's big enough to be a higher power to me, I'm not going to fully understand. And I don't know that I necessarily do. And sometimes those questions are the ones that I think drive me to, you know, distraction away from my spiritual beliefs that I don't need to go. You know, sometimes that's what faith is about, I think. And you know, I hope I don't have to go through something in my life that will make me question my faith. I won't say that I haven't. Sat there and argued with God and been like, this is bullshit. Like, I've done everything you've asked me to do in my life. I've tried to do, you know, what is going on, you know? But then it's always like, yes, but, or, you know, well, maybe I could work on this, or, you know what I mean? But, and I'm not going to ever say that I haven't done those foxhole prayers, like, just get me out of this situation. And I mean, that was back in the day when I was drinking and using, man. But I never stuck to them, you know. If you do this, I will never again. You know what I mean? Like those kind of prayers. Oh, God. I'm sure we've all said those time and time again. Some of these houses, like not their Christmas lights, but just the way that they have their houses lit up are so pretty. And then some of these Christmas lights are just extravagant. I don't know, like you guys, I'm sure some of you out there, you guys do this for your trees. Like this house over here is literally like second, third story. Everything is so lit up. It's beautiful, but it's like, how do you get all those lights up there, my Lord? Here, every time I pass this, the lights are always off, so I want to show it to you guys, okay? I'm going to slow way down. Look at this. Christmas time is here. Oh, look, I was singing that, and then there's Snoopy right there. And Eeyore. Isn't that house so pretty? And then look, there's Santa Claus and Snoopy. And then there's angels singing. Oh. Wasn't that so cool? Oh my God, my battery is dying. Do I have another battery in here? I better, because if I don't, this is gonna... Okay, I do have another battery, but I don't know how charged this battery is. So we'll just have to see. It's not flashing yet. It usually starts flashing right away if it's dead. So it may be a charged battery, but the other one was completely dead. In fact, while I was explaining it, it just shut off right in the middle of it. It was that dead. I didn't know it was flashing at all. So yeah. I'm trying to figure out how long I've been vlogging for. But I don't even know what I was talking about. The Christmas lights. So pretty. I do wish we would get some snow though. There's something about Christmas lights looking prettier in the snow, isn't there? Like they're pretty anyway, but like when it's snowing outside, they're just so much prettier. I also need to shave my neck. That means I've run out of stuff to talk about. What else should I talk about? I don't know what book I'm gonna read next. I was like, well, today I was like, well, I read one Christmas book. Maybe that was enough. Because I'm almost done with this book, you know, and I read Let It Snow. But then I was like, no, I bought like 5, so I should read them, right? And I've got like 4 more, I think. Maybe I've got the Augustin, maybe I bought 4 books total. I have the Augustin Burroughs book, I had already bought that. And then I have the 2, so that's 1, and then I have the one that I'm reading now, The Murder at Mistletoe Manor, and then I have 2 more, and they're both, I can't think of his name, they're like, he's the one that writes all the Christmas stories, I can't think of his name. His name's like 3 names, do you guys know what I'm talking about? Anyway, I read his book, which was called The Mistletoe Inn, or something like that. The Mistletoe Secret, that's what it was called. There's like 3 of them in that series. I read that one, and I liked it. It just took me forever to read. So I got 2 more of his, and we'll see what they're like. But I'm excited about reading some more Christmas books. It's kind of like nice to read a shorter book, actually. I mean, 3.5 hours is really short for an audiobook, but I'm like, I kind of enjoy it because it's like, well, that car just came whizzing around the corner. It's like, well, ooh, that's a pretty color for the Range Rover there. I can get them done rather quickly, and I'm really like in it to win it, you know? But I don't know that I would always want to read 3.5 hour books. The thing is, I have so many books that I want to read that are, there's so many books. I always get so many texts when I'm driving and vlogging. I have so many books that I want to read that are not 3.5 hours long and are not holiday books, but those can just wait until January, you know? It is 19 degrees outside right now, you guys. It is chilly, chilly, chilly. Oh my God. Okay, so I got this message from this mom today. This was so sweet. So she's like, I watch all your videos. And she was like, her son walked in and he was and she was watching one of my review videos and she thought he was asleep. And so I was holding Sally Joe, the elf, in the elf on the shelf in my video. And the little boy asked his mom, he goes, why is he holding Chippy, which I guess is the name of their elf? And she's like, she didn't know what to say. And so she like thought on her toes and she was like, well, Peter is one of Santa's helpers and he works with the elves and with North Pole, which I totally love, right? And so, because I love Christmas so much. And he was like, oh, okay. And then he watched the rest of the review with her. And then she said, this damn elf is going to be the death of me. So I messaged her back and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Poor Chippy, right? Because Chippy's the name of their elf. And she was like, oh my God, don't worry about it. She was real sweet. But I thought that was so funny. I was telling Tanya tonight, I was like, oh my God, poor Chippy. This little boy walks in the room. He's like, why does Peter have Chippy? I think that's so sweet. Meanwhile, the chick that came up with that elf on the shelf and wrote the book and everything like that, well, I mean, the person that came up with it, that's probably, 100 years ago, but the woman that, repatented it and she wrote this book and everything about it, she's probably on some yacht in Greece right now, boozing it up or something with her girlfriends. Some Greek gods out there just hanging out on the boat, not thinking about Christmas at all or an elf on the shelf. Or maybe she's not. Maybe she's just a really nice person that loves Christmas and has 1,000 elf on the shelves in her house. Do you ever wonder, like, with things that are like who invented what? Alex and I were we were at some pool, and I think it was in Fort Lauderdale. I can't remember where it was. Maybe it was the W or the Hilton or something. This is literally 10 years ago. It was our first time going to Florida together. And we were laying at the pool this one day, and there was this guy that was laying out there with his wife, and they were treating him literally like I had never seen anything like it. And this guy was, he probably looked then like I look now. Let's just be for real, okay? He was just gut, just normal looking. He had on a hat, I remember, and sunglasses, and his wife was just real average looking too. They were just normal people, And they literally were treating this guy they were coming over every 5 minutes. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, can we get you something else? Mr. So-and-so, can we get you something else? Whatever. And he was so nice to these people. And he was like, oh, no, I'm good and whatever. And she, when he would walk away, or when they would walk away, she would his wife would laugh or whatever. And I was like, and so at one point I said something, I was like, oh, they seem to really know you. And he was like, oh yeah, we come here all the time. We're from some part of North Florida, I think. And I can't remember where he said he was from. But anyway, he's like, we come down here all the time for business. So they know me because of this and whatever. And I was like, oh, well, what do you do? And he was like, and this, at the time, does anybody say anything to you and it's it doesn't really hit you at the time? It'd be if somebody said to you, oh, well, what's your family's last name? And you said, I don't know, Colgate or something, right? And they're like, oh, okay. Oh, that sounds familiar, but they don't really get that your family's Colgate, who owns major pharmaceutical company that owns toothpaste and stuff like that, right? So I said, well, what do you do for a living that you come down here a lot? And he goes, and I can see his wife, she's laying on her stomach and she's looking at me and we're all talking. It was Alex and I were talking with this couple and they were super nice, just looked just totally average and anything like that, right? I will tell you, after I had this, we went up to our hotel room. I've never seen these people since, okay? And for some reason it hit both Alex and I kind of on what a grand scale. And now I literally think about it every time I get coffee, okay? And when I get it in a cup like this. So, because I was thinking about this today, because I got a tall cup coffee and it had this thing on it. I said, oh, what do you do for a living? And he was like, my best friend and I, we invented the coffee cup holder. And I was like, what? And he was like, when you have a hot coffee cup, and he was the, what do you call it, the sleeve that goes into it, the cardboard sleeve. He was like, my best friend and I, we invented that, we patented it. I was like, really? I think I even looked him up at one point. So he was like, yeah, and it's a special kind that he did, and it had something to do with Caribou coffee. I remember it was Caribou coffee, but anyway, he was always coming down there for business meetings or something. I don't know why, but it had something to do with Caribou coffee in airports. And so it was some special kind that they made, some special kind of sleeve or something that they made. But I just remember after that, I was like, oh my God. That's all I remember, but they were super nice. He and his wife were so nice to us. But I remember Alex and I were both like, oh my God, those people must be worth a fortune. So anyway, I know there's somebody out there right now. I'm probably gonna go home tonight and Google it too. There's somebody probably out there right now. Who invented the coffee sleeve? I should look it up and see if it was him. He probably lied to us. He probably owned strip clubs in that area or something, and it wasn't anything to do with coffee sleeves. I think I did look him up at one point, and I couldn't find anything the way I was looking for it, and I was like, I think when I looked at it, I wasn't sure or something, but anyway. I'm dying to pull in here and see. Big town boogie on a Saturday night. Do you ever get the words wrong to songs? I do all the time. Big town boogie on a Saturday night. There was something I wanted to talk about tonight. Now I don't remember what it was. And I said this was going to be short. I think I'm at like 50 minutes already, so you better be happy. You better not pout. Because Santa Claus is coming to town. What do you guys want for Christmas this year? Put it in the comment section below. I want to really know, like, be honest. Like literally, okay? Not like, oh, I want, you know, an entire set of Louis Vuitton luggage. I want a trip around the world in the world's largest yacht. You know what I mean? Like, put, like, really, like, what you're asking for Christmas this year. I'm, like, really interested to see what people are wanting for Christmas. And yes, we all know that everybody wants to spend time with their family and friends. Oh, I just want time off with my family and friends. Yes, I believe that. But, like, I mean, ultimately, like, I mean, what does everybody want? I have to tell you, when I went and I did the review on my review channel of, like, the Sharpies and the Post-its, and I said in my video, I was like, this is something that I would really like as a Christmas present. Like, that is something I would really like as a Christmas present. Like, I know that sounds corny, but most things that I want, I buy for myself anyway. So it's like, those are the kind of things that I would really, really enjoy. I actually think all that, like, office supply stuff that you wouldn't normally think about buying somebody, I think those make great gifts. So just as a little reminder, stocking stuffer thing for people. I especially think for college kids that maybe then could, like, use them in their dorm rooms or whatever, you know. But to buy, like, some really fun ones, you know. I literally cannot have, what is that back in there? I'm so confused. I literally could not have enough. It looks like a hair salon dental office or something. What is that? Ow! I cannot have enough Post-its and Sharpies. I mean, and honest to God, Sharpies, I cannot have enough. Okay. Let's see this. Who invented? There is somebody. I want to see if this is him. The coffee sleeve was invented in 1991 by Jay Sorensen and patented in 1995 under the trademark name Java Jacket. I bet this is him. I remember this conversation. And are now commonly utilized by coffee houses and other vendors that sell hot beverages dispensed in disposable paper cups. I want to see if this is him. I will die if I look and it's him. It doesn't show a picture of him. That is totally him. Oh my God, that is so weird. Oh my God. That is so weird, you guys. That is him. I want to see if it pulls up his wife. Look, I said he looks like me now. And here, I don't know if you can see it, but oh shoot, now it just went out of that. Hold on. Look at that, you guys. Is that not so crazy? I don't see his wife on here, though. Oh, including his wife, Colleen. It has also made him a successful business owner. Sorensen launched Java Jacket Java Jacket Inc. on less than $20,000 in 1993. This year, his 4-person operation, including wife, will take in revenue of nearly $8 million and crank out more than 250 million sleeves. From rags to riches. He managed a gas station. That is so crazy. They were so nice. God, what a weird... I have to tell Alex that when we get home. Well, they could have at least paid for our lunch at the pool. I'm joking. But no, that was so funny. Isn't that crazy? The people that you meet that you never know who they are. It happens to me all the time. People are like, you look familiar to me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a world famous YouTuber. I drive around in a car and I do videos. I have to tell you what is so funny though, like I almost never get recognized by anybody, obviously, why would I? But when it does happen, it's kind of cool. Like, you know, the times it's happened, I've talked about it on here. I know it's real annoying to some people, but get over it. But anyway, what's interesting is that this actually happens a lot to me. I have like a lot of like doppelgangers out there, or people that look similar to me. I must, because people will say to me, oh my God, you look so familiar to me. And I'll say, oh really? And I always think they're gonna say like, do you have a YouTube channel? And they always look at me and they'll go, do you have a brother named Todd? And I'm like, no. Or they'll say, did you go to like some high school? They'll ask me, like, it's just always like some random thing like that. I'm like, no. It's so funny. Anyway, well listen, I think I'm gonna get off here now, and in this vlog, it's a fun little vlog tonight. It was kind of all over the place, talked about all different kinds of things. Yeah, let me know in the comment section below what you want for Christmas this year. And no, I'm not gonna buy it for you all. Don't be greedy. I wish I could, I really do wish I could, but I don't have that kind of money, sorry. Mama needs pizza. I want to try that pizza. Anyway, but I want to know what other people are wanting for Christmas this year. I'm just kind of interested. You know, what are like the items that everybody's asking for? And if you made it this far in the vlog, put a red and blue heart for Christmas and for the wolf pack. The wolf pack is everybody that watches my videos over here, because we just, you know, we're the wolf pack. And yeah. Anyway, I love you guys, and I hope you're having an amazing Wednesday, unless you have other plans. But like I always say, do not have other plans. Make the most of your day. Make the most of your Wednesday. Do something today that will make you happy and make you smile and laugh and maybe make you cry if it's something that is endearing to you. Do something today that when you look back on will make you proud. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and you say, I love you, you are valuable, you are important, and today will be a good day. Today will be a good day. Good things are happening today. And make sure that you believe in yourself, that you have confidence today or tomorrow if you're going to sleep. And if you're going to sleep, I hope you have sweet dreams. And most importantly, make sure that you pass it on to somebody else and let somebody else know how important they are to you, or just even pass on a small compliment. It's just as easy as that to make somebody else feel a little bit better about their day. And I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.